Have you seen some of the truck prices lately? I've been walking down the truck car lots. I checked out some of the dealers. You walk down Dodge, they have rows and rows and rows upon vehicles they're ready to sell. They can't even sell the 2023s yet, and they're already trying to pitch the 24s. And Dodge is already, or Stellantis has promised, that prices are starting to creep up even further. It's insult to injury to the buyers, and buyers are getting mad. As well, we can't forget about Ford. Ford can't sell the Lightning. They've had to scale back 50% of their output just because buyers are starting to figure out it's just not worth their time. It's just not worth their money. And even the best-selling pickup truck, the F-150, is starting to slump. People are starting to realize that these dealers are only looking out for number one, not the buyer. It doesn't take long. Just look at the stickers on the windows of some of these trucks. This one here is an XLT, as we see right here, XLT, and it's a 23 model year. It's an F-150 Super Crew. As you can see, you have the full-size doors, but XLT isn't not. It's kind of middle of the road, lower end. And what we're actually looking at is a sticker price of about $76,000. It's absolute chaos. And it's not just Ford trucks that are grossly overpriced. Ram trucks are grossly overpriced, and GM trucks don't come at a cheap bargain either. But it comes at a cost, $94,000. So GM isn't doing anybody any favors. Customers are just getting tired of it. As well, even Toyota. Now, people at least appreciate Toyota's durability and long life, but even Toyota's made some changes with their new Turbo 6, and people are starting to wonder if they're even worth the money. Buyers are starting to get to the point where they've literally had enough. Too much, too pricey. There's no end in sight. We have to make a change. What are the buyers doing? Some savvy buyers are starting to make some big changes, decisions that could definitely improve their personal financial situation and definitely leave some of these overpriced truck manufacturers or these dealers out on a limb. I mean, I was even shopping recently and I found trucks. You look at our Ford Raptor R, stickers at $200,000. I even looked at some of the fancy dancy Dodge Ram, and of course their version of the Raptor, and they're charging $155,000. GM doesn't come cheap either. You want that Duramax, you want all of that greatness with that Allison transmission, you're going to pay the piper. None of these vehicles are coming at a discount. Sure, while Toyota's offering up that $10,000 little base pickup truck, that may not be available in a lot of markets, and the sad reality is it really wouldn't cater to the North American market anyway. It doesn't come with gauges, half the electrics, and controls are very simplistic. So where does that leave the buyers looking for a pickup truck that they just need a basic truck for work and back, maybe to tow their boat to the cabin on the weekend, or maybe just haul the kids to hockey on a Friday night? Where does that leave those buyers that need a truck but don't necessarily want to spend that $100,000 or can't even afford to spend that $100,000 or $90,000 on a truck? Well, a lot of buyers are making some hard decisions. Let's look at that. And so instead of buying a lot of new trucks that a lot of people don't have $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 for, and I'm in a very similar boat. I just can't justify throwing down 120 grand for a brand new diesel truck, even the half tons. What we have here is a great example of a vehicle that a lot of people are electing to buy. Either buy it or keep it. And now the choice is either spend that $90,000 to get yourself a brand new half-ton Ram, a 1500, or in fact, fix what you've got. And so in my case, this is my personal truck, and I'm doing what a lot of people are deciding to do and saying, you know what, my truck's actually not in that bad a shape. The miles are decent. And I want to share with you why, in fact, that I'm going to continue driving this unit, even though it's getting older. It's 20 years of age. This is a 2003, and there are occasional mechanical failures, but even incorporating that, it doesn't even come close to the cost of depreciation of a brand new 1500. And it doesn't just come exclusively to Dodge Ram or any of those other products, Ford, GM. There's a lot of great used trucks. A vehicle like this you can actually get. I've seen them on the market with these sort of miles. I only have about 100,000 miles on this unit, about 160,000 kilometers. And trucks like this are still only worth about $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 for a nice one. And this one here, clearly 10 grand I've got into this vehicle as opposed to 90. So let me show you exactly why you might want to just keep what you've got. And this is what a lot of people are electing to do. Scrapping the idea of buying a brand new truck for so much money, going to so much hawk, losing all that cash and literally being upside down on your loan payments, or maybe just fix what you've got if it's in good shape, or possibly look on the used car market for vehicles like this, and you can find them out there. Even if you pay a little bit of a premium for an older truck that is in good shape and has decent miles, it definitely can be worth it. Let's walk through this and I'll show you why this truck is definitely a keeper. So first of all, so here we have a 1500. This here is a Ram, of course, a Dodge product, and I'll show you what's under the hood. And these vehicles are so simple to fix. But the bottom line is you can buy this vehicle, you have a quad cab here, which basically gives you a lot of room up front. Of course, you have lots of space. We have the split. I don't have the big console with all the fancy display, but that's just more technology to fail. Instead, you can flip this up. You have extra space for somebody else to sit in the front. You've actually got 3 seats in the front, or you put this down. And personally, I think this is a technology that should exist, but you don't find enough trucks with that in there. I mean, what am I not doing without? I mean, this truck is an SLT. It's a mid-level truck. And look, I got power seats, and look, they even work. So I'm not doing it without there. Okay, I don't have leather interior on here, but leather interior starts to look drab when the bolsters start to get all cracked. So I don't have to worry about that either. Yes, I have cruise control. I have CD player. We do have all the typical features like power windows and locks. So it has all of the usual features that you need in a pickup truck. Yes, you can even tow a trailer with this vehicle as well too. You open up the back door, you have room here now for another 3 people in the back. As you can see, we've got 3 seat belts, so lots of space back here. Go around here, it's gas. And because it's a simple truck, it's only a 1500, and it has, I'll show you the engine in a moment, there's no turbos. It's a relatively low compression ratio, and as a result, I don't need that high test gas. I can just throw regular fuel in here. So when gas prices are high, I'm not worried about putting in premium fuel because I don't need to put premium in here. I just need regular gas. And that's the beauty of some of these older trucks. They're not running a 12-to-1 compression ratio. They just chug along and they don't cost you much to keep on the road. As you can see, you can tow with this just like the new trucks. This one's an SLT, so it's a middle of the road vehicle. And actually, when you look at it from a distance, it's a great looking truck. We really don't even have rust to speak of here either. And look, the rims, okay, there's a bit of a cover on there, but it actually looks great when it's clean. It's dirty because of the dirty roads right now, but I've got a chrome rim on there, so it doesn't even look basic. It actually looks quite sharp. Set of Nerf bars on the bottom, and it's a great looking vehicle. I mean, again, no rust. So if you have a vehicle that has no rust on it, it's just easy to own, and it's a good looking little truck. Yeah, we don't have a twin turbo V6 like we see in the Fords. We also don't have the GM 5.3s and the 6.2s with rocker lifter issues that are constantly blowing apart. And we also don't have the Ram troubles that we're finding in a lot of the late model trucks that we're seeing. Stellantis vehicles are definitely on the downslope for reliability. Let's pop the hood and I'll show you why this is such a great truck to own and just keep on the road. Because we're dealing with one of the older generation Dodge engines, and I could even go further back. If you go even further than this 2003, some of the older ones are even better. Remember the old 5.2s, you know, the 318 cubic inch, or the 5.9s? They were a little sloppy in acceleration, but they just keep going forever. They're reliable workhorse engines like the old Chevy 350s. They just keep going and going and going. And then they came out with this 4.7 Magnum, and they also had the Hemi, the 5.7. There were some problems there. Of course, we do know about extensive idle time and start to make a little noise. But honestly, even with a little bit of knock and a little bit of engine noise, they're a very durable engine. They run for a lot of miles, and it's rarely the engine itself that's going to fail. Transmissions are decent on this, and honestly, even when something breaks, it's cheap to fix. And there's clearly a lot of benefits in owning these vehicles because they're so simple. Let me just say, this radiator here, I just did this. Yeah, it's only about 400 bucks, but as well, I did a water pump in this vehicle here about 2 years ago. That was only about 150 bucks. Thermostat is at the bottom. That's also another $40. I mean, the battery's easy to access right here. Fuse box is easy to access. And I mean, even if you had to do spark plugs and coils, you just got to pull off the intake and everything's sitting up there. It's quite easy to access. I mean, look at all the real estate you've got in here. You could literally crawl inside the engine, and that's such a great thing to have, is a vehicle that's easy to maintain, and therefore people tend to do that and just keep them on the road. Air filter, easy to access. You know, there's your transmission. Of course, you can check your oil and add. I mean, everything is very accessible. coolant reservoir tank here. Everything is there in front of you, and there's lots of space around it. So there's ease of maintenance, ease of servicing, and parts are very, very cheap. And while some people really prefer the Toyotas, and there's no doubt about it, vehicles like Toyotas and their 4.7 will go for a long, long time, the fact remains is, you know, with timing belts and water pumps, typical wear items, there are pieces you don't have to worry about. You don't have to do a timing belt here. It's a chain. It'll almost pretty much last the life of the engine. Other than a few little weepy valve cover gaskets here, or the odd time you have a oxygen sensor go, everything's relatively simple and easy for the do-it-yourselfer. And that's why a lot of people are making that decision now. Instead of buying that $90,000 truck, take another good look around. Give your truck a bit of a polish, vacuum it out, shine it up, and bring a new lease on life. And they're deciding, I don't need that 90 grand. I'll just drive this for another 3 or 4 years. You get to a point where diminishing returns, and you get to a truck like this, and maybe the gearbox blows, and then it might be 4 or 5 grand to replace that. But when you're dealing with a truck that's worth 10, even if you had to throw another 5 in it and it gets you another 6 or 7 years, that's really cheap miles when you think about what the alternative is buying a brand new pickup truck. Yeah, it doesn't have the large infotainment screen. It doesn't have 400 horsepower, but in fact, it does everything the truck needs to do. It can tow weights, your boats, your trailers to the cabin. It can also carry people around. It's a people hauler. And this one's a rear-wheel drive, but in most cases, trucks here in this part of the country come four-wheel drive. So all of those factors have to be thought about. You know, you don't have all that complicated technology. Engines are accessible. Have you seen in the engine compartments of a lot of the modern-day pickup trucks? You can't even barely get your fingers in there, let alone a wrench or any other parts to replace. There is a lot of reasons people are deciding just to skip on the new stuff because they were so overpriced, and fix what you've got. And of course, with all of that said, everyone, thanks for hanging around right there. If you want to see more about the overpriced trucks and how they're actually climbing to unfounded, uncharted territories, stratospheric by nature in terms of pricing, an expert explains the whole story. You definitely want to see that. Hope to see you on the next one. See you then. Bye-bye.